than never to you. Ignite the fire. Better late than never to you. 11th hour. It's all we never do. It's a long shot. One shot. Better late than never to you. Never to you. Never to you. It's better late than never to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me in the locker room tonight. I'm Alan Locher. My friend Michael Fairman has spent over 36 years reporting on the daytime soap industry. He's been an innovator in the field, developing new platforms. The executive producer of SoapCity.com, which was the first online platform of its kind, spotlighting all the network soaps. Since that time, he's hosted his own shows, Soap Nation Live, Michael Fairman On Air on Soaps, Michael Fairman TV, Inside Salem, Days of Our Lives, to name just a few. He's also been part of some 15 Daytime Emmy Award ceremonies and many other soap reporting roles. This past March, Michael launched an innovative and fun new game show, Soap Opera Know-It-All. And I think he might be putting me to the test tonight. Michael is here with me tonight to talk about his long career in daytime television, and most of all, about his passion as a singer and songwriter. He just released his fourth single, Better Late Than Never, which you just heard a tease of, which is a soulful groove song, the likes of Tinashe, that combines the classic R&B harmonies of a Stevie Wonder tune with the pop and R&B feel of a modern day Nick Jonas track. Michael says the song's message is simple yet profound, and I'll let him tell you in his own words. Better Late Than Never is available on Spotify and all streaming platforms right now. You can download the song today, and don't forget to follow Michael on Spotify. Please welcome to the locker room, my friend, Michael Fairman. Hey, Michael.
How are you, Alan? Good to see you.
I'm well. Did I get that all right?
I think you got the main bullet points. Very good. Very good.
It's so funny because I've started to say that right after I've done the intro, because my husband and I watch Rachel Maddow, and after she does her long intros to certain things,
right,
she always asks her guest if she got it right.
I think you got the main points. So
okay, good.
Well, 75%. Okay.
Well, congratulations on releasing another song.
I know. I'm so excited about this song because it was a process to get this song done during COVID and literally trying to do put out new music. But I was kind of inspired by look at Taylor Swift. She put out 2 albums in the pandemic. So I'm like, all right, if Taylor Swift can do 60 songs, I can do 1. So
she really is like a machine.
A machine. First of all, she's a songwriting machine, right?
Yeah.
And that's what was so interesting about this pandemic, where you saw so many artists, because they couldn't tour, they couldn't perform, they couldn't make money anyway. They were writing and producing some of their best work, actually, on so many artists that I love. But Better Late Than Never was a song that I had in mind for a while, and it took different evolutions to get it to exactly the way it is that you're hearing.
But tell us about the inspiration for it.
Yeah, so basically, I have this whole thing in my head about, I'm a huge sports fan, which I know a lot of people are surprised to know, but I really am. I follow everything. And so
I was going to ask which one, but
the Milwaukee Bucks, my hometown, just finally winning the NBA championship after 50 years. I was literally every night watching every game and screaming at the TV. So there's that. But this song, I wanted to originally call it Hail Mary, but it just didn't sing well, because it was kind of, how do I sing that and make it sound good with this groove that I had, right? So it was really, that analogy of, you're a football quarterback, because on the very end zone of the other team, there's 3 seconds left on the clock. He's got to make the receiver catch the touchdown in the other end zone to win the game and it's victory. It's that last second, last try, make or break it moment, and going for it. So it was kind of, that was the inspiration. And when Hail Mary didn't sing well, it was like, how can I tell this in a different way? And so Better Late Than Never is really can be used for so many things in our lives. Is it that person walking out the door that you love, your relationship, and it's messed up and you know you can't live without them, so you've got to go back and get them before it's too late? Is it that career that you want to have? In my case, I've gone back to my music. You know, it's better late than never. I would really...
Your first love.
My first love. And I would feel so unfulfilled in my life if I didn't go back to it. And I think as we get older and as we age, some of those things become important to us. A lot of people at midlife are like, oh, you know, my time has passed with that. You know, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that. And I want to believe that you can still go for your dreams. It's not too late to do that. So it's all of that. And you can take the words in that song about ignite the fire and walk right through, you know, 11th hour, pray for me too. It's like that last try, that last second.
And that's your favorite line, correct?
Yeah. I actually have, and there's one in the bridge I really like too, but I really liked how it came out lyrically and the groove of it. I wanted a groove song that you could like groove to that was kind of cool. So, you know, that's kind of what I wanted to do this time that was different than Other Side, which is a little slower in pace and a little more dramatic in that way.
And Kyle, how do you pronounce his last name? Mangels? Mangels produced it. What's it like working with him, and how do you two mesh together?
Well, sometimes we're at each other's throats, but I think like any good collaboration, you are.
Yeah.
Basically, in this case, it was very interesting because we had to record the song remotely. It wasn't going in the studio. It wasn't like you and I going to the studio. Because remember, everybody was saying COVID was spreading if you sing. You know, singing was, you know, you could, right? So we couldn't go to
spray.
Right. So we couldn't go to any recording studio. We did it remotely. He had his home setup. I got my own setup at home in my apartment, and we were able to track it and record it. And I learned so much, just like you've done with your great show. We've really pivoted to so many things that we've now learned or been forced to learn virtually how to do, right?
Yeah.
So it was amazing to record that way. And I don't think you can tell that it was recorded that way. It sounds the same to me as if it was in a studio. So working with him is interesting because every song's different. I usually come to the table with an idea of kind of how I want the sound to be. And then we kind of work on the melody, and then I change the melody, and then I work on the lyrics. And it's a collaborative process to do. I'm really a stickler for lots of harmonies on everything. So you always hear these cluster harmony things, which I love. So I think we able to work with each other and bring our strengths to it, and we've had a successful 4 singles. I mean, as far as I'm pleased with the sound of them, is what I want to say. Like,
that's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of harmonies, then, is there somebody out there putting out music today that you love the type of harmonies they do?
Oh my God, there's so many. You know, I love what Harry Styles does on his records and the background parts. And then I love Nick Jonas's This Is Heaven. That song came out. He played it on Saturday Night Live. We were actually in the middle of recording Better Late Than Never. And I emailed Kyle and said, because I heard the song for the first time. I went, this is it. This is it. So I sent him a link to Nick's performance on Saturday Night Live. And I love the harmonies of it. And I'm like, and he writes me back, yeah, this is great. And I went, So
well, both he and Harry had amazing performances on SNL, both of them.
On SNL. And Harry was amazing on the Grammys. And I think the Grammys this past year
totally
was the best show in decades that I've seen. And I was literally at the edge of my, like, everybody was great. And the way it was done
was great. I don't usually watch the whole show, and I watched the whole show.
Right.
I don't know everybody.
Right. But you were engaged, right? It was great. Yeah.
Well, they did, because of COVID, they did such interesting setups and performance spaces and all of that. So we talked about the fact that you this is your 4th. You released Thing About Me, Can't Let You Go, and Other Side. what sides of Michael Fairman come through in each of these songs?
You know, it's really, for me, I always felt in many ways I was the underdog from very beginning in life to now in certain aspects. And I think I really write for the underdog, for the people that really struggle to get there. And I'm talking about whatever that is, the struggles,
Mhm.
the human condition, those struggles, the underdog. And just, and I also hope a sense of like, I hope it's cool and grooves and you can dance to it. And I feel like I can really express myself through my music much better than I can express myself as a writer, you know, as a journalist. There's something about music which is so much more, I feel more bearing my soul, which is so freeing. There's a freedom to it. And I think I've told you before, like later in life, I'm a much better writer, a songwriter. I mean, a much better songwriter, because I'm not afraid of things as much. I'm not afraid of truths. I'm not afraid of the negative and talking about it. And so I think it's been easier for me to go there.
And music's been a part of your life since you were
Little boy.
really, yeah. So I'm sure that's where. Do you want to tell everybody about your challenge you have coming up?
I do. Well, the challenge is actually launching today on TikTok. So I will explain it. So I partnered with a company and we have a creative, the Better Late Than Never challenge. So on TikTok, if you're on TikTok, you've got to create at least a 15-second video that is oriented around you transitioning from like one shot, like Alan and I are in these shirts, right? And then you've seen the ones where you transition to the next shot and you're either in an athletic outfit, a sports outfit, and I Dream of Jeannie, you know, and you can explain an accomplishment you've made over the past year that you're proud of in your life, in love, in athletics. You can show us before and after pics if you'd like, but the purpose is to create a trend challenge around people sharing their accomplishments with each other and going for their dreams. So I'd love to hear you. You'll hear the music. You can pick a Better Late Than Never, 15 seconds of it or more that's on TikTok, and let's see what you have. And I'm hoping people will do it. I'm going for my dreams. I want to know what yours are. You know, like, is it like you didn't know how to bake a cake and all of a sudden you baked a cake? You know, what is it? And that's what I hope this song inspires. So we just launched it today. So we will see.
I love that. You know, speaking of you and I learning new things, I have not figured out TikTok. I don't spend really any time at the moment, but I know it's. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Apparently,
apparently it's where the kids are.
Apparently, the kids are there.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah.
And if you're not there, then you're missing all the influencers on TikTok. So
you really are. But I was even shocked. I was talking to somebody today and she follows recruiters for jobs on there. And I was like, I would have never thought that, you know, recruiters are, you know, putting out TikTok videos to get their message across.
Right.
You know, it just.
But I'll tell you what, even if soap fans or people watching or people that'll watch us later, you can also do it on Instagram. Okay.
Oh yeah, the same thing can be done on Instagram.
Same thing can be done on Instagram.
Yeah.
We actually have this going on TikTok starting today. So I hope we have some really fun ones and some meaningful ones and it trends because I think the song lends itself to that message, right? So
I bet you will have a lot. Remind people watching what drove you, you know, to return to your passion. You know, during COVID and decide that now is a time to put out new music?
Well, it actually happened 3 years before that is when I started going back to the studio and recording and writing, is when my mom died of Alzheimer's. She passed away. And my mother, my mom and I were the music people in my family. And my mom would take me to Linda Ronstadt, Minnie Riperton, Melissa Manchester in 1 week. We'd go to all the concerts. I'd take her with me and say, well, I want to go to this. And I'll never, when I think back on it now, how lucky was I that I had a mother that would go with me as a young boy and sit with me and let me enjoy this, because music was so in me from a very young age. And she was, she was a jazz DJ at one time too, and she
Oh,
sang.
wow.
And
Well,
she
I was just going to say, I mean, music was in
sang.
her.
She sang. So it was one thing that we shared a love of. And I know whenever I sang in high school or competitions or put records out when I was younger or was pursuing my dream younger, she was so behind me 100% and was always proud of my singing and my voice and what I could do. And so when she passed away, I was, it was a moment of thinking, why am I not singing? And so with her death,
Perfect way to
right.
Honor her.
It was a way to honor her, but also a wake up call from me. It was a wake up call from me that my mother did this for me. I'm wasting it because I'm not sharing it. And as time was going on, Ellen, I was feeling more suffocated that I wasn't. Even before that, it was like, I'm singing in the car. Like, nobody knows I can really sing. They don't believe I can sing, right? That was the other thing. Like, nobody believes it. So there was that. And then I was at a Christmas party. And that's when I learned George Michael died. And I didn't know. And it was that day on Christmas that he died. And I had to leave the party. I was sick because I love George Michael as an artist, as a singer, as a writer. And it was just heartbreaking and difficult. So it was those two things that was like, okay, enough of this is bullshit, Michael. You have to, excuse me. You have to continue. You have to go back.
My husband and I were on our way home from his family. We heard it on the radio. It was devastating. Shocked.
Devastated. And so what was interesting is that propelled me. If you go to my YouTube channel, to the Michael Fairman channel, under music videos, there's a George Michael tribute medley I did. I went in the studio. I put 3 of his songs together just with acoustic accompaniment and did a medley. And that was how I got myself kick-started into feeling okay again to sing, perform, record. So thank you, George Michael. I'm
going to, when we're done, I didn't realize you.
Oh, yeah. I did it with lit candles because it was to honor his death, his passing. And we lit the room, this very small studio. And it was just me and a guitar player. And it was, you'll see, it was 3 songs, but it's on the,
Whitney so young, he so young, Michael Jackson, all of these greats. It's devastating.
I mean, I was going to say about Michael, I can't believe how great. Those songs still come on the radio, are you not popping to this? Like, they're all so good and stand up. And he was so ahead of his time.
I saw him live in New Jersey in probably the late 80s. I mean, something else to see George Michael live. Crazy. Unbelievable. What's next for you musically? Well, I know I was going to say.
Now that COVID's gone.
Yeah, it's not really. I was going to say, are you going to be able to get out and perform?
So that's the whole thing. So every time we take a step forward, it's like, now we're all wearing masks in LA and we can't do anything. So this is, I literally am telling you, from Other Side last year in March, imagine I put that song out in March of 2020. COVID shuts down LA and everything else. So now we can't do, like the music video got delayed months because we couldn't shoot. So now we're having another spike. And I'm like trying to book like gigs, right? And if worse comes to worse because of what we don't know what's going to happen, then I guess I'll do an Alan Locher live stream and do live. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking, is do the show, because I think people need to see the show, like how I mount the show. I mean, I know what I do, and I know.
Right. Yeah. You could do a beautiful job online. So the goal is to get out there if you can.
Right. So that's,
and safely.
Right. So that's one big thing. And the other is writing and producing more songs, because you've got to keep putting out product. And I think people were surprised originally when I did Thing About Me that it was just a gimmick. But like, I always knew once I started this that I was going for it.
You mean they thought you were going to be a one song wonder?
Song wonder.
Isn't that the term?
Like,
or what?
they're like, and I think they're confused on Twitter. Like, they're like, wait, what is this? I still think that there is a resistance to, we think of people one way. We think of people one way. And that's a big problem because you miss out, pretend you don't like open your own sphere, to see.
Yeah. Open your eyes to other
eyes. And it's okay, everybody, that people could do multiple things.
Yeah.
For
sure. Well, you mentioned Nick Jonas and Harry Styles. Who else in 2021 are some of the artists you're following?
I love her.
Yeah.
Her is amazing. Now she's acting too, so it's like she does everything. Her music is amazing. Her writing is amazing. Her singing is amazing. I love Dua Lipa. I'm a huge Dua Lipa fan.
Me too.
From the very beginning. And so and you'll also, if you go to my YouTube channel, I did a cover of Electricity by Dua Lipa. And so that was done during COVID last year because I had to do for a virtual Pride I was booked on. I did my original song, and then they wanted another one, so I did Dua Lipa. So
I think you were doing that right after our show, or right about.
I did too, right. And so then I did Electricity by Dua Lipa, which is one of my favorite tracks and songs. But I did it, of course, stripped down, with just keyboard, because we were dealing with this COVID thing. So everything was, you had to have the guitar player remotely, the keyboard guys over there, and we had to edit it all together. So
yeah, that's another one who keeps putting them out at one after the other, hit after hit after hit.
But she's gotten, Future Nostalgia was the best album.
Yeah, from top
bottom. Top
yeah.
Right. And do you know how hard that is to have an album? Think about it, that every song you can sing and remember and is catchy, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things also when you ask me a through line to my music, I really feel that these are catchy hook songs. Like there's a hook, they're catchy. And I think I try to do that. I try to make the hook of the song anthemic, hooky with harmonies. So hopefully people will, be humming it, right?
Well, yeah. And Kalina, one of our fans, just said, I love The Weeknd. And I agree. He is pretty spectacular.
He's amazing. Amazing. Yeah. His voice is amazing.
Totally. Yeah. And he puts out some pretty great tunes. So music's been such an important part of your life. Talk about music in soaps. What you've liked over the years, maybe? What stands out? The good, the bad, the ugly?
So as a musician, I loved, as I know you do too, I know this, we always love the theme song, right?
Yeah.
We always can't wait to hear the theme song of our favorite soap, right? So then you'd hear these alternate versions through the years as they would change it with the times, right? Some never worked and some, did. And so I always really loved the opening, and I think a lot of fans do too. It's that excitement of this familiar song that's attached to your show, and the music is important. I think the music reflects, if it's done right, what the show is, right?
Yeah.
There were some guiding lights I liked very much.
The guiding light, the gold open with Lisa Brown, when Lisa was there at that time, Lisa and John Wesley Shipp, just beautiful opening.
With the strings.
Yes.
It was great. I liked some of One Life to Live. I was not a big lover of the Peebo Bryson vocal version. I never really loved that. I did not. Not that I don't like Peebo. I'm just saying it wasn't like One Life to Live to me,
Right.
And of course, Y&R is the classic, right? A Nadia Simone Y&R. It is the classic,
Correct. You hear that and you know what it is instantly. And that's what I felt guiding light in that time period, you knew, and then they did change it. And, I don't know if I ever loved it as much as that period. I agree
with you. I loved it so much in that period. And then some of the other ones when you listen to now, like Sunset Beach and Santa Barbara, they all They're whatever. Like they're not my favorite themes.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan's Hope had a great theme, opening music. Their music was great to me in the opening theme of it. Edge of Night was great because it sounded like a mystery, right? And it was a mystery show, so they had a mystery way of doing it. But also, I think things have changed. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, you know, there was money in soap operas. You could afford to have the hit person who's got a #1 single on your show to sing it. We can't do that anymore. Nobody can come on and perform. So usually now,
Whitney Houston, World Turns, Lauryn Hill.
can you imagine like they were on World Turns, right?
I mean, that's insane.
So now what happens is what they usually you see doing is like Diamond White on Bold and Beautiful, right? She sings. She has this recording career, so she'll sing or Kira Barnes, who's now went to Fantasy Island, she'll do her song. So a lot of times if you're a singer, a young singer, they'll say, sing your song on our show, you know, instead of getting Dua Lipa to come and perform.
Yeah.
When I was doing Prospect Park's One Life to Live, so they had the nightclub in there, and they were trying to like get the rap artists and this stuff, and you know,
nobody would do it.
Oh, they would do it, but nobody liked it. You know what I mean? They had people doing it, but it was kind of so off the track of...
So off the mark of what One Life is.
Of the mark of the fans that were watching. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't think there's enough music. You know, back when Days of Our Lives had Gloria Loring and Carl Anderson singing Friends and Lovers and all of these things, like it played into the story. Like Bill Hayes singing Look Love to Julie, Doug and Julie.
Yeah.
That was part of the story. Now there's not. What is it?
Yeah. Well, you know Mary O'Leary, right?
Of course.
She just posted pictures from when Guiding Light did Lou Jack's music video out on the street. The Springsteen song. You know, they got the rights for a Bruce Springsteen song.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Today, nobody could afford that on a
No, because I always heard whatever when I was working at Days of Our Lives, or if I was doing the Prospect Park, they're like, Michael, we don't have money.
Yeah.
It's always like, we can't do it. So I'm like, well, I don't know. And they're like, shut up. And I'm like, but we really should do, you know. So
yeah, sometimes they did some good music things, you know.
They did.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them. We had Christine W. too, I think, on World Turns during my time there.
I love Christine W.
Me too.
I love Christine W.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one with a powerful voice.
No, there's somebody too. And I just want to say about Christine W. She's still kicking it. She's still doing it. She's still performing. She's not young. So like, let's all just chill on this age thing about people can't, you know, I know you cannot tell. If nobody knew me, you would not know from listening to that song how old you wouldn't know.
But I mean, let's talk. I mean, Cher is still doing it. Madonna's still, you know, I mean, some do it better than others, but they're still doing it. And there's no reason. Age means nothing in music. It shouldn't mean anything in music.
It shouldn't. And what fortunately happens is we have record labels who sign artists 18, 19, 20. They feel that the run of their artistry or their popularity is to 25. So literally 18 to 25 is that sweet spot in the music industry, right? So if you are over that, you're over the hill, right? So imagine that's what they focus on because that's the money, right? That's the money. So everybody else is old. So, you know, Madonna, Cher, they may not have hits every day like Harry Styles or whatever, but I mean, that's just the way radio and...
I mean, Streisand is still putting music out.
Of course.
You know, I mean...
Of course. I think it's harder for someone like me that's a new artist.
Yes.
A new artist is a different... That's what the challenge is as a new artist. It's like, you know, people that have been there before, they've already started younger and people know them, right? So that's why it's so important for everybody to go to Spotify and to stream the song and to follow me, because we all know that optics and numbers are kind of important these days with how everything's changed, right?
Yeah. completely. I mean, the whole industry is completely different. Well, now let's talk about your next baby that you just launched in March, Soap Opera Know It All. What prompted you to start this?
So again, here we all are, and you with your show. We're all kind of like at home. COVID's happening. We don't know what's going to happen.
Nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go.
Nowhere.
I have no life. So I'm basically like, but no, actually what happened was when I was working on the Dual app for Days of Our Lives, one of the things a lot of the fans loved was the games we would do. I would do these, I would have these game show things in my head, and I'd get the actors to do these newlywed game versions or this or whatever.
This was on what?
On the Dual app, the Days of Our Lives app.
The Days, that's what I thought you. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So if you go there, I don't work on it anymore,
Right.
But when I was on it, there's all these game show things, and the actors and I would have so much fun taping it because it was spoofing game shows.
Yeah. Right.
So then I was kind of like Jeopardy when I was getting a lot of headlines before Alex died, all this stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. There are so many soap operas. There's so much deep dive knowledge and trivia. There's so much. And I've met fans along the way who really know their stuff. So I'm thinking, what if I could make this come to life somehow and virtually, since obviously we can't go to a studio. I can't put up a Jeopardy board and have people live. And so I was trying to creatively come up with this concept, and that's how it kind of came to be.
Brilliant.
And then I said, all right, so now it was casting this and getting fans on board. So when I first did it, I didn't want to tip to anybody. I would just put a message out on Facebook, like, looking for people who really know soaps, blah, blah, blah. And so they would reach out and say, I really know soaps. And I go, okay, what do you know? Like, tell me, and so many things. Well, I've been watching for 35 years and my shows are this. So I was like, okay, maybe this has legs. Maybe I can get this on its feet. And then I got 4 contestants to play the first game, and editing it is a nightmare. Because
I watched that all my children, the whole thing from start to finish, and knowing that it's not live, I was realizing the amount of,
right.
stuff.
It's a lot of stuff because you're having to do it in a way so it's communicated to the contestants so they can play the game. Then you have to go back and animate the game board later to timed with their answers and questions. So a lot of timing. And I think a lot of great shows and things that I've produced that I was proud of was that the timing was really great. Like, I'm really a stickler for like that edit, that time, that thing, that buzzer, that sound, because playing the game, you got the all of those things.
Yeah.
So
you throw it off with
right.
time, with everything.
Right. And it's such a missed opportunity. This game to me is a missed opportunity. Like, look at the amount of material there is. Look at an audience for daytime. Why don't we have this show? So I'm like, here's the show. So if somebody wants to pick up the show, we can do it. So I'm just like,
you really could. And, let's give complete and utter honor to the fans who watch our shows, because, I sit here, I've never claimed to be an expert, and I'll, get into a conversation with an actor and they're trying to think of a name, a character, and in 3 seconds, I have those answers on the side from the fans. Like and I'm talking, we're talking 1965 maybe. It blows my mind because I don't remember all of that,
And I can tell you that I have been told off I am wrong. And they will go to Michael Fairman TV and they will comment in the comment section and they will say, no, he was on Edge of Night in 1930. That's not correct. and they correct me, and they're right. They are correct. So, I think that's what's so amazing about this genre is it's like I thought I was an encyclopedia of this genre. I've met my match in some of these people. Like,
I believe that wholeheartedly. I actually have to tell you a really funny story. So today, there's a fan, Dwight, who watched when I was interviewing Dinah Manoff earlier, and Dwight he loves Adrian Zemed, and I pointed out. I asked Dinah what it was like working with Adrian, and she actually did not remember. But some of the fans pointed out that he played her husband, and she still did not remember. But for anybody who's watching right now and watched earlier, she emailed me and she feels awful. She saw clips of it afterwards. But it just
because they pointed it out.
They know everything, and it's amazing.
It's amazing. So I'm crafting. So here's the funny part. I'm crafting the questions, right? Because I'm gonna have these categories.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, they're not gonna get this. And they're like, they got it. They got it. Most of the time they got it. Somebody got it. And then what was happening was I think some people became intimidated. Some of the fans were like, I wanted to play. And I get it, but they saw the level of knowledge that some of these people had that scared them off. And I'm like, you should come play, come play. And they're like, So we have a lot of know-it-alls, which is what, soap opera know-it-alls, what the show is. So,
Well, there was a question, and I won't remember it in the All My Children show, but I think you were shocked that I think it was David knew the answer to.
It was Clay on Edge of Night. I never thought he would remember the first Raven before Sharon Gabbett. And I knew it was in Clay, and I remember writing it going, because I thought this actress was not good in her role.
Okay. Yeah.
Did not think she was good. So when Sharon Gabbett came on, I was like, wow, this actress really took the role. So I didn't think anybody remember her name. I'm sorry, Juanita Clay. I'm sorry, but you know.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
But I didn't think they remember, and David got it. He's like, Juanine Clay. I'm like,
he was on it. Do you have a dream cast, of folks you'd like to put together for the game show?
Yes, I would. I would like to put all the journalists together on the game show, and I want to put them all together. I'm going to host it, and I'm going to have
brilliant.
Them all on. That's one big one, and then I think we have to do. Obviously, we've got to get. What I'd love to do is get like a rotating, like somebody from each of the soaps, right? Yeah. Like a Weiner, and like rotate through, so there's someone repping each cast, each show, to eventually we see who has the most kind of thing. So, but I would like to do that actually with different groups of people, right? So like I said, journalists, the director, I would be interesting to see how they would do. I think
Candace Mack just said she's ready to play one day.
Candace is,
I bet she is. I bet she is.
It's so interesting. I actually had Andrew Stern, who is one of the EPs of Pine Valley, the show, reach out to me and said, "Can I play?" Because he's a big All My Children fan, right? So it's like, so you think about it, it'd be fun to have different walks of life, different kinds of people play. But I have some questions for you, Alan. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm
going to start to sweat.
I'm only doing guiding light questions.
Okay.
Because you're Mr. Guiding Light, at least to me, because that's how we knew each other.
Yeah.
First. Okay. So here we go. How many actresses have played the role of Lizzie Spaulding?
Oh, God. Crystal, Emmy, Hayden, Allison Hirschlag. I might be missing one. Oh God, her name. She's a Broadway person, I think.
MM.
Yeah. I won't get it. But I know who that is. Totally. She's a Broadway, right? Am I right though? Broadway? Yeah.
And then there's one more.
I don't know who the other one is.
Okay. So you did good. You
Okay.
got that's 4. So there were 6.
Oh,
Julie.
Mackenzie. Thanks, Candace. Candace helped.
Oh, Candace.
Mackenzie Mousy, right?
Mackenzie Mousy. It was.
Yeah.
So the first was Julie Levine. She must have played it as a little, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one.
Then Hayden Panettiere. Then
Yeah.
Mackenzie Mousy, Allison Hershog, Crystal Hunt, and Riley. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Here's the next one.
Okay.
How many children did Brandon Spalding have?
Oh. Oh God, I'm not. No. Brandon's Lou Jack's father, or no? Because who was Brandon Levanacek? Is Lou Jack? I'm trying to think who.
What's Miss Max saying?
I know she'll know. She'll know Guiding Light.
Okay.
One of our fans, Rook, says, "I want to host a lunch for Michael, Allen, and Andy Cohen because he loves soaps too."
Set that up. Set that up.
Yeah, set that up.
And I will be there. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That.
Alexandra Spalding.
Yeah.
Alan Spalding.
Candace says 4.
That's correct. It's Victoria Spalding, Alan Spalding, and Alexandra Spalding. 4.
I knew it was Victoria. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Who encouraged Riva to find her psychic abilities, but was also a psychiatrist? Who encouraged Riva to find her psychic abilities? I wonder if Kim Zimmer remembers this.
I don't even remember that.
It was early 2000s.
So I was there.
We were there.
I was there. Psychic abilities.
It was Dr. Christopher Langham.
Oh, I know it.
Russ Anderson.
Russ Anderson. I remember Russ.
So apparently there was some story. She's going to do psychic ability.
Well, I mean, you think of when you work on a show, though, and I worked on 2, to remember all of those stories,
How long were you on Guiding Light?
I worked on Guiding Light and World Turns for 12 and almost 13 years. Think how many breakdowns.
Were there
many breakdowns? Were there what?
Were there days you want to just like?
Well, no. I mean, it's a lot to you're representing 30 cast members on each show, and I'm reading 5 breakdowns for each show a week. It's sort of like the actors. It goes in and it goes out because I'm trying to think of things to do to promote these shows, and I have to read. I'm reading those 5 breakdowns, which are really about 4 to 6 weeks ahead of schedule. So it's you get a little thrown off in your head of what's happening when, but
Okay, here's one for you. When this character first appeared on Guiding Light, he stole Michelle Bauer's purse. Who is he?
Michelle, I'm not going to know that either. Jesse?
Nico. Troy Curtis.
Oh, Troy Curtis. Speaking of, he was a singer. That was it. I think that was a John Conboy hire.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. See, I remember. I don't remember yeah.
Right. Here's my last question.
Okay.
How many times did Guiding Light win the Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Drama Series?
I don't know that, to be honest.
3.
3.
80, 82, and in
I know that I had all that information in files.
I was going to say, it's got to be in your press release. Guiding Light.
It's all, I have all the awards listed in documents, which I probably have on this computer.
Yes, I'm surprised. It's interesting that they've only won 3 times in the whole, but that's because,
And I also heard, when did All My Children win for the first time? Didn't they win very late? They hadn't won for a while? There was something I just read about one of the shows
Right, because the first one was in like 74, 72, 73. So it was like
And then they didn't win for a very long time, right?
right. And I think in 2007, Guiding Light tied with YNR. It was a tie.
Yes.
Were you there then?
Yes.
Yes.
Because Dave Kreisman and Ellen Wheeler went up on stage.
Do you remember what the story was that year? What was the big thing?
No, I won't remember. Now we're talking 13 years ago. Yeah, Candace will remember.
Candace.
Yeah, yes, Colleen, we mentioned Emmy Ryland for sure.
We did.
We definitely
You
did.
do that bad, Alan, on our game show.
Well, yeah.
But you'd have to play the other categories too. And that's,
I know, and I would not. I would not get that at all. Miranda was asking, who were you most nervous to interview? Or is there someone?
Here's what I will say, and I don't know if it was nervous. It was that I hadn't ever talked to Jeannie Francis up until this point that this happened. And because I had never really interviewed her over so many years, it's weird because with her coming in and out of General Hospital and where I was in my career, whatever, it just never happened. And then when the GH convention, the last GH convention, which was a couple years ago now, because it was canceled twice, postponed because of COVID, Jeannie was herself a panel, and I interviewed her on stage. So imagine never interviewing her like one-on-one with a tape, like in a room. I was on stage in front of 800 people interviewing Jeannie Francis. That was nerve-wracking because I'm like,
the sweat comes on.
I was like, is she gonna like get up and leave if she doesn't like this question? Because I didn't have a read on her from not having spent any time with her, interviewing her in the past. So it was really a trial by fire. It went great. She's a pro. And but that was the one that I would say, because of the circumstances of having to do it in front of so many people live.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
A little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. Is there anyone left in daytime who you have yet to interview and you would love to?
I don't know if it's left in daytime that I would love to. There's always people whose work and things that are, there's a lot of people I like to interview because, like with you, like when you do your show, you kind of know as you're going through it, like there'll be a great interview. Like Laura's a great interview, Maurice Bernard, I just did an interview with him, and it was great to talk to him about winning the Emmy and the mental health thing he's doing with his show and the character, what's going on. And who I really like talking to, and I wish I could talk to more, is our friend Cynthia Watros, who I think
me too.
I wish I could sit down with her, have lunch, and like shoot the breeze and like do an interview, because I love talking. She's great. She's
great. But you just mentioned Maurice, and I was he just posted on Twitter about Simone Biles, and I was very impressed.
I haven't seen what he posted, but on the Simone Biles, that whole thing's been quite amazing to see the reaction and what happened and how this is changing again, hopefully how we look at that.
The reaction, but the reaction
has been,
on both.
Yeah.
It should only be on one side in support of any young person's decision to take care of themselves. I mean, I'm not talking right now politics, but this is a young person who should be allowed to make that choice for herself when she needs a break, just like Naomi Osaka needed to do.
100%. 100%. Can you imagine the pressure, right? The pressure to perform at the highest level. And I think, as you watched that vault, you saw that she did get lost in the air. So I think that must have frightened her so much that there is that syndrome in doing gymnastics that they were talking about. And you saw, if you watch it back, she's lost in the air.
One mistake, she could be paralyzed for
Right.
life.
And I think it scared her that she was lost in the air. She knew it. And I think it obviously frightened her. And it was like, I got to step away and take care of myself. So,
Yeah.
you know, people are people. And I think that's a big thing. We do this with celebrity of any kind. You know, we do a lot of this with celebrity.
Yeah.
We put them on pedestals and they're not human.
100%. The daytime Emmys this year. Thoughts?
Which part?
I know.
Okay. Okay. So my involvement with the daytime Emmys this year, it's strange as things have kind of evolved with different people in charge. You know, I interviewed everybody for Natus on the red carpet on that red carpet day. That was also the day that they filmed the acceptance speeches and all of that. And I did sound bites and promos and got the actors to say things and all of that. And I didn't know how it was going to be used at that time or what was going to happen. I personally wish the show would have had more. It's hard to watch the show when you know it's all kind of canned and put together.
Mhm.
There was that missing live element of excitement to that.
Agreed.
That I think we miss. I would have, you know, if anybody had asked me, but you know, I would have suggested go back. I would even have preferred to see a five shot on Zoom of people. But
I agree. From their homes.
From their homes, I think it gives it a more personal touch and all that. I do understand they were delivering a package show. That's what the network wanted. That's what I guess, you know, I wasn't involved in any of those discussions. And it was a weird year for me too, in that I got some calls and people saying, well, there was no Michael Fairman package that we knew was kind of your thing that you did. And I felt I missed that. I didn't have an opportunity to do that this year. So it was a little weird. I was happy with who won. I think who won for the most part deserved. You cannot make you can't make an argument why they shouldn't have. They deserved it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think Maurice and Max Gale deserve. I think Jacob McGinnis Wood did great work. I'm not saying others did not deserve it. I'm just saying it wasn't like, how the hell did she get it? You know, it kind of made sense. I'm talking about the main daytime Emmys, not the two other ones.
The few other ones, which is weird in and of itself, doing them so far apart too.
Well, and that, you know, and again, all of it is kind of this weird mishmash of, or conglomeration of, like, live, green screen, pre-tape, live, you know, and I know what they were trying to do, and they were in the middle of COVID. So, you know,
I know, but it was so close to the end that other shows I felt like were live. I just wish they could have.
I do. Yeah, I do too.
It was just so close.
It was just so close. I wish we could have seen reaction shots. And as you know, I mean, daytime fans love to see their stars. So it was hard not to see them.
Correct.
You know, because we don't.
I mean, that's why they tune in.
That's why you tune in. And that's why that's always been so special. But over the years, even before this, it's kind of dissipated, I think.
Oh, completely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's never that, you know, excitement of it.
Right. I mean, we haven't had, you know, and the streak is over type of feeling.
Yeah, but a streak is over.
You know, an exciting. Just everybody in the room is excitement in and of itself when we're all in that room together.
It was always the most amazing thing, right? Like you felt like it was exciting in a community and people rooting for each other or rooting for their team or their castmates. It was something that I never felt as a journalist covering other award shows. Like you're not feeling that as much when you go to the American Music Awards or the Globes, maybe a little bit because they're at tables with their, they won't be having that. There were Golden Globes, but
I love the Golden Globes, so they need to get their act together.
I love the Golden Globes too, and if they could fix it.
I mean, I agree with everything that's happening. You know, diversity matters, they need to,
they need to clean up their act and get some diversity in there and like figure this out, because it's ridiculous right now. I mean,
it really is
demanding, it's so interesting how we're all demanding, change is happening here. It's got to happen because well, I will say, social media has roasted everybody in one way or the other. So it's kind of like, you're going to be called out for this or you're going to be called out for that. So.
Correct. Are you excited about the Days of Our Lives and Pine Valley spinoffs?
Yes, because I believe that anything, I'm excited in one way, and then in another, I have reservations in another. But the excitement is anything that allows daytime to expand is such a breath of fresh air, because we're always locked in with our same four things in the same way, in the same marketing, in the same thing. So I'm always like, okay.
Well, I feel like these two opportunities really demonstrate how the powers that be, believe there's still an audience here.
I think they know there's still an audience. I think the trick is the actual execution and content and what's in it, right?
Correct.
Because it's always great on paper. And like Prospect Park was great on paper. It's great. And then the execution of it, it's like, I don't want it to be disappointing, but I think it's got really great potential. I think the Pine Valley thing, as they've said, or as we knew it originally when they released it, it's going to be a darker version, a more primetime version of this, focusing on a younger generation, blah, blah, because they're trying to make it palpable to a primetime audience in a younger demo, which makes sense, right?
There was plenty of dark stuff. And I mean, I didn't watch All My Children, but I know a lot of those stories. There was a lot of dark stuff.
There was Michael Cambias hung up in a meat.
What was it? Billy Clyde? Wasn't
Billy Clyde Tuggle?
I mean,
Billy Clyde Tuggle he was the pimp, right?
There were some dark things on that show. I also think, the networks and the streaming platforms are a lot further along than they were when Prospect came along. So I think there's that potential to make these, good.
I mean, I think these could really look and feel like any other streaming show to the level of that. As long as it doesn't fall back into the norm. I think it needs to be a cut above. That's all. I think the production level should be a cut above. I don't know what they're planning at Days in terms of, how they're shooting it, if it's still on their set or it's going to be a bigger, expansive, how they're going to do it. But the more you open it up, I think people love to see their characters in different situations. On the other hand, Erica Slezak always used to say to me, Robin Strasser or Erica Slezak would say to me, what does it matter? As long as we're acting in front of a black curtain, the fans are going to want to see Dorian and Vicky. They just want to see Dorian and Vicky go at it. So it doesn't matter if they're in the locker room or they're behind a black thing.
Yeah, they're invested in those two people.
Right.
They're invested in those two people, yeah.
Right. So I think that's the thing with daytime that's so great, is that you have such investment in these people that you're willing to suspend belief and move them wherever and be into it. I'll be interested to see what happens. I hope Pine Valley happens.
Yeah, me too. Very much so. I do. You watch the 4 remaining shows on the air. Do you have much time to watch? Is there anything in prime time that Michael Fairman loves? On streaming, or I don't know if you have time.
I don't have really time. It's sadly, but with everything that I'm doing, I don't have a lot of time to like sit down and watch the whole season of The Crown. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I want to, I don't know where to put that in, because a lot of times I'm having to go back in the evening and watch episodes of the daytime shows, right? Because if I've got a full day of this, so I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But I watch CNN so much now too. It's like I watch CNN, I'm like sucked in to like Anderson Cooper and Chris Cuomo, and I'm like, we're all in that block of watching that. And like
we used to be CNN people, but we switched.
You're with Rachel.
Surprising. Yeah, we are. Well, my husband was tired of the breaking news on CNN, and I love I love Chris and I love Anderson, like you. I love listening to them. But now I also Rachel's great. Nicole Wallace, I think, is one of the smartest people reporting. If you had the power, and there was one show you
Everyone would
could,
be fired. No, go ahead.
and there is one show you could bring back.
Of what? Of daytime?
Uh
Oh man,
huh. The fans will kill you.
fans. I bring a lot of them back. Let me just say
Okay.
that I would. So I'm gonna say what I'm sure everybody thinks I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna say One Life to Live
Okay.
because that was my show.
Well,
So
makes sense.
I think that's it. I think that's what I'd bring. If I had to, gun to my head, what show would I bring back? I'd bring One Life to Live. But then I'm looking back at like the things you've been doing with the Guiding Light cast and everything, and you're like, oh, because we all have what's great is we have this connection in our hearts to these characters and all of that. So I bring that back too.
Well, speaking of characters and actors, really, Pine Valley, Springfield, Oakdale, Bay City, Landview. There's 4 shows on the air. Are there certain characters and the actors that played them that you would love to see on the? I'm sure there's plenty, but like, do you see? Have there been people you think of, like Zimmer, if we say, or somebody that you think would fit somewhere that you've been thinking about?
That would fit like on Pine Valley, you mean, or like
or General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful, YNR, Days of Our Lives. On the 4 remaining shows, there's so many actors,
so many
actors
that
are
not working, right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I mean, so many people write to me all the time. They'd love to see Erica Slezak, Kim Zimmer, all of these iconic people. It's a little difficult though, to have them back. I know when I talked with Erica, she would do it for a short, like a reoccurring, maybe, like it wouldn't be a long-term thing. I think there are ways to do things now where we could bring back some of these wonderful people that we miss and love and we identify with, and maybe they'd get a spike in the ratings for it. It's like, who would bring that spike?
Right.
I see Josh.
Right, because I
can see Josh Jamal come to Pine Valley. You know what I mean? Like, that would be great. Would he do it? I don't know. But
right.
But
yeah.
I mean, I think there's so many iconic people. It's just the problem is always challenging of limited time, guarantees with the people on the show, all of that. But
did you see that Robert and Kim are doing Mamma Mia in the barn?
Are you going?
I wish desperately, but this shows the popularity. One of our fans wrote on my wall, or Robert's wall, that there's like a waiting list every night for like 10 people. Crazy.
What I find so interesting is that they've still found a way all these years they're still working together.
Love.
Not love that. I mean, when I think of Josh and Reva, I am just like, oh my God. I mean, I will never forget the ending of Guiding Light, because I was like, it's got to end with Josh. And we didn't know it's like, how's this going to end? And when I saw her with the hair, the piece of the hair and the kid, and it was so moving just to see them. That wasn't it like 5 years later or 1 year later. Fast forwarded something there with them.
It was fast forward. We definitely fast forwarded it.
But it was. What does Candace say?
Well, Candace told us what the Emmy was. She thinks it was the Reva cancer story, and when Gina Tognoni and Rob Bogue broke up.
It was. Yes, it was.
Yes, because I agree.
I agree.
Candace is amazing. Michael, it is always so great to talk to you, my friend.
So fun.
Thank you so much for doing this. Everybody, please download Better Late Than Ever. It's available on Spotify and all the streaming platforms. Follow Michael on Spotify. Support your favorite artist.
Hit indie
support
artists,
Michael.
Support indie artists, and like literally take 30 seconds out of your life and hit the button and hit play. I would love to know if you like the song, because I think people aren't listening. It'd be great if you listen to it and tell me if you like it, right? So
Absolutely. And do the TikTok challenge.
TikTok challenge, better late than never challenge on TikTok. Show me what your dreams are. Yeah.
Love you, Michael. Thank you so much for doing this.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching, everybody. Download his song today, Better Late Than Never. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.